And welcome to Sugar Talk. And give us a call if you'd like to ask some questions of Dr. Lucas. Lucas Research is with us now. Good morning, Doctor. How are you?
Good morning, I'm great.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about some more questions from diabetes school.
Okay. All right. You had diabetes school a couple of weeks ago at the aquarium.
And there were some good questions. I think everybody, no one wants to have diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, maybe. But most people do not want to have diabetes. So there's lots of questions about, preventing diabetes or curing diabetes. There's even books written about, the diabetes cure, curing diabetes,
Sure.
making diabetes go away. They're really good sellers. They all say the same thing if you read them, but it's okay.
Well, they say them in different ways, and that's why they sell.
So, for one thing, type 2 diabetes is a genetic problem. So, you've inherited insulin resistance. We've talked about this before. You don't really ever change your genes, the genes with a G, not the genes with a J.
Right.
You don't change your genes, at
People don't
least
change
not
those
yet.
either.
That's true. So, you can't change your genes yet. I guess maybe one day. But we talked about there's like 300 genetic defects that cause type 2 diabetes. That's why there's so many drugs. I heard a talk over the weekend. There's 157 drugs for diabetes.
Oh,
like,
really?
oh,
Wow.
I never counted them up, but it seems like a lot. So there's lots of medications, but the reason for that is because of all the defects that cause it. So we don't know what your genetic defect is, but if it's just insulin resistance and your pancreas wore out over time, then the idea is not to let your pancreas wear out. So to cure diabetes, you can't really get diabetes because by the time you actually get diabetes, half your ability to make insulin is gone, and there's some estimates that 70% of your ability to make insulin is gone when they make the diagnosis, depending on how late they make it. Some people don't go to the doctors for years and years, and they come in, their sugar's really high, and they need insulin right away because they don't make any insulin by then. But the sooner you pick it up, the better. And if you pick it up in the pre-diabetes stage or the insulin resistant stage, then you have a chance to prevent the diabetes, and that's really what my emphasis is for a lot of people because they don't want to get diabetes and they'll do anything but exercise to prevent getting diabetes. So if you pick them up early, you can treat the insulin resistance with metformin. Of course, diet and exercise are very important. What type of food you eat, how many calories you get, but not only calories, but starches and sugars because you make insulin in response to starches or fruits or milks or sugar. So any kind of sugar you're going to make insulin for. That doesn't mean give up everything, like give up fruits and things like that, or vegetables. Vegetables have very little sugar in them and they don't raise your blood sugar. You don't need insulin for non-starchy vegetables. But potatoes are vegetables, but they're starchy, so they're considered a starch, as well as corn and lima beans. Green beans, on the other hand, are non-starchy vegetables, and they would be a better choice because they don't make you make more insulin. So if you choose foods that don't tend to make your blood sugar go up or your insulin level go up, then you may save your pancreas for later. I mean, your pancreas may be working very well through your whole life if you know your risk. So if you determine that you're at risk for diabetes, and you try to have and it's a good healthy eating plan. It's not a weird eating plan. It's what everybody's supposed to eat.
So you mentioned about fruits, though. What about fruits? I would think those would raise your blood sugar.
They do, but some raise them more than others. So if you're going to eat a fruit, it's best to eat it as a dessert at the end of the meal because you've already got the other food in there blunting the effect of the sugar. If the fruit has more fiber, such as an apple has more fiber, then that's going to prevent it from raising your sugar quickly. It's going to be a slower rise in the blood sugar. If you eat a very ripe banana, on the other hand, that's full of sugar, and that will raise your sugar quickly. So if you're going to eat a banana, eat it either after a meal or with peanut butter or with something else that keeps this blood sugar from going up after the banana. So bananas, grapes, pineapple, watermelon are all, and raisins, of course, because they're grapes. All those tend to raise your sugar more quickly than the ones that have fiber. So either they have more fiber or less sugar. So cantaloupe has less sugar, more fiber. Strawberries, blueberries have more fiber, less sugar. Apples are a good choice. But even then, you can't eat, a whole bag of apples and your sugar not go up. So you still want to save fruit for dessert. Fruit is not really a good snack because it only lasts a little while, makes your sugar go up a little bit, then comes right back down. Fruit, just like yogurt, which is mostly sugar, milk sugar, is better after a meal, like as a dessert, rather than by itself as
So
a
your
snack
yogurt
or a
with
food.
blueberries as a dessert afterwards. No?
Dessert,
Yeah. Okay.
not as meal. A lot of people eat yogurt, for breakfast.
Hmm.
It's Greek yogurt, so it's better. But no, it's not. It still raises your sugar, and it only lasts for an hour. You're going to be hungry in an hour if you eat yogurt. If you eat cottage cheese, on the other hand, which is milk protein, like low-fat cottage cheese with fruit, with berries, or cantaloupe, then that's fairly good breakfast because it has more protein in it. So that lasts longer. Breakfast is the hardest one to get right because either people don't eat breakfast, they eat cereal, or they go to Bojangles.
All right. Okay. All right. So now you mentioned though about the about having diabetes. Once you have it, you have it. So, but you can reduce losing weight reduces the markers for diabetes or the symptoms or.
Well, what happens is
The
when
effects.
you're insulin resistant, the insulin stores calories as fat in the middle of your body. So the more insulin you make, the fatter you get. Well, the fatter you get, the more insulin resistant you become.
Mm-hmm.
So when you lose weight, you're less insulin resistant. And that really helps. I mean, I don't want to minimize that by saying you need drugs, but losing the abdominal fat is the most important thing you can do. Now, how to go about doing that is for different people, it's different. Now, if you weigh 400 pounds, you're probably going to need weight loss surgery because it's very hard for you to even be active to lose that weight. I mean, people have done it, but it's very hard. It takes a long time. And if you're already in the throes of diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure, you really want to get the weight off faster. So that's when the weight loss surgery comes in play. Now, the surgeons will tell you they will cure your diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can believe them or not. They don't follow people long term, so they don't
Right.
really know for sure. But if you're to the stage of diabetes where you're taking insulin shots because you make no insulin, they're not going to cure that part. What they might help a lot with is the insulin resistance by making you lose weight and eating less food. So part of it is that you can't eat as much food after you've had weight loss surgery. So if they can get the weight off,
Right.
and your insulin resistance improves, and you don't eat as much food from then on, and they encourage exercise too. So, then it's possible that you would prevent getting diabetes. If you already have diabetes, it helps a lot to lose weight. But you may still need medications depending on how much you're able to eat after the stomach surgery.
All right. We'll take a.